Hey guys, so today's video is going to be another mystery video. It seemed like I got a lot of good feedback on the last one that I did, and this is just something that I'm really passionate about, so I wanted to film more. And today's case, I'm going to be talking about Kayla Berg. So first, before I get into it, I just want to talk a little bit about Kayla. So she was 15 when she went missing, and she was just honestly all around a great girl. She was so beautiful. She loved gymnastics. She was so passionate about it, really dedicated, and she just loved hanging out with her friends like most teenagers do. And she went missing on August 11th, 2009 from Antigo, Wisconsin. So from what I could gather online, Antigo was their hometown, or was at least where she grew up or spent the majority of her life, but they did briefly move to Texas for about 3 months, and that was her mom, Hope, her brother, Jimmy, which I couldn't find it to be confirmed if that was actually his name, but I believe that it was, and then of course Kayla. They moved back to Wisconsin because Kayla and her brother were both feeling homesick. Kayla was really passionate about gymnastics, as I mentioned before, and she was really disappointed because her new school in Texas didn't have a gymnastics team, so she wasn't going to be able to compete or just practice it at all. So they ended up moving back, and this also meant that they would get to see their father and their grandparents. And from what I read online, her father was sick. He wasn't doing really well. I'm not sure what he had, but that's kind of irrelevant. He just wasn't doing great. So it seemed like it'd be a good situation for them to move back. So when they moved back, it was around midsummer, so there were still a couple weeks left in the summer vacation. So Kayla was really making a point to, catch up with friends, see what she had missed in the few months that she had been gone. And they actually had a really open living arrangement between the two parents. So their houses were about 5 miles apart, and both parents were willing to drive the kids back and forth. Sometimes the kids would ride their bikes, or Kayla would even walk or run sometimes just to keep in shape or get into shape for gymnastics with that upcoming school year. So it was kind of open-ended, and it was also said that Kayla kind of bounced around from friends' houses sometimes. She would spend a couple nights at someone's house. It was very open-ended where she was. So the afternoon of August 11th, 2009, Kayla had phoned her mother, Hope, told her that she was gonna go and hang around at her dad's house for a while, and they both exchanged I love yous and agreed that they would talk again later, but unfortunately they never did. Okay, so this is what we know about Kayla before she disappeared. She was picked up at her dad's house by her brother's friend, Kevin, and he picked her up, drove her to a McDonald's, and they got to the McDonald's around 8:30 p.m. Kayla had a friend who worked there, so she ran briefly inside, mentioned to the friend that she was going to be hanging out with this guy for a little bit longer, driving around with him for a little bit, and that she would see her later kind of thing. Just mentioned that she was going to hang out in the car for a little bit longer. Kevin then drove her 34 miles away to Kayla's boyfriend's house, Miguel, and try to keep up. I know there's a lot of names going on, but Kevin drove her to Miguel's house 34 miles away and dropped her off around 10 p.m. and apparently this is the last time that he ever saw her. Unfortunately, nobody else can confirm that she was dropped off at that house at 10 p.m. or that she was even at that house because nobody else saw her getting out of the car at all. Also, the police say that Kevin was able to accurately describe the front of Miguel's house. However, I did read online that this house was kind of like a party spot for their group. They hung out there pretty often, so to me, it's not surprising that he was able to describe the outside of the house. And then Kevin has been confirmed to have returned home to his parents' house at around midnight, which was about a 45-minute drive away, which I will mention this again later, but I find it a little bit suspicious. He dropped her off at 10 p.m. and then drove the 45-minute drive to his parents' house. That still leaves about an hour and 15 minutes-ish unaccounted for, which I find pretty crazy. Now, this is where things start to get crazy. So Miguel's house that Kayla had been dropped off at had apparently been condemned by the health department for weeks. Nobody had been living there because construction was going on. The family wasn't allowed to be there. So why would she request to be dropped off there? And it was said, her mother, Hope, says that Kayla totally knew that there was nobody living there. So why would she request to be dropped off there? And on top of that, there are some people that said that she didn't know, but my theory is that because this was such a popular party spot for their friend group, she probably had an idea. And also the fact that it was her boyfriend's house, she probably knew that nobody was living there. So on August 17th, 2009, which is 6 days after Kayla was confirmed last being seen, her mother, Hope, filed a missing persons report for her. Now, this is really crazy to me that it took her 6 days to file it. I definitely don't think that her mother had anything to do with it at all. I'm not saying that. And her mother does say that it was just a big misunderstanding, that she thought that Kayla was at her dad's house, the dad thought that she was at her mom's house, and the brother thought that she was at friends' houses. And like I said, it was a really open-ended living arrangement, so it wasn't really like uncommon for her to kind of bounce around and stuff like that. But I do think that if I had a 15-year-old daughter, I would confirm where she was. It just seems a little bizarre to me that nobody had any concrete proof where she was for 6 whole days. And I also saw sources saying that it was just super unlike Kayla to not check in where she was. It just seems really strange to me that there was never any like concrete, yes, this is where she's staying, but... So investigators on this case actually say that one of the largest issues that they've had is that they didn't receive that information for 6 days after she went missing, which is obviously problematic, and time is really everything in cases like this. Police have also said that Kayla's friends were just super uncooperative when they were questioned, and that led the police to think that maybe they were hiding Kayla, or she had run away, or like, you know, that the friends just knew something and they were helping to hide her. But based on the amount of time that has gone by with this case, they don't think that that's a possibility anymore. There have also been a lot of conflicting reports on what Kayla was even wearing when she was last seen. Some people say that she was wearing just a spaghetti strap. Some people say she was wearing a long shirt. So it's really hard, and these are really finicky details in cases like this, unfortunately. But I do want to say that everything that I read from the investigators and the police and everything like that, they really did take every single lead seriously, and they still do take every lead seriously in this case. I think that they have done a phenomenal job keeping tabs on this and really just trying to find Kayla. Crime Watch also did a video on the Kayla Berg case, which was actually so awesome because it really helped to get it recirculated in the media again and shed some more light on this case. And I'm actually so happy that I found the Crime Watch video because it allowed me to see a tip that originated from a YouTube video. So this video was posted 2 months after Kayla Berg went missing, but it wasn't discovered until 2 years afterwards. The YouTube video is super disturbing. It shows this crazed man talking to someone named Walter, I believe, or Patrick. I don't know if he's identifying himself as Patrick or if he's talking to Patrick or Walter or vice versa. But basically it's a man acting very, very strange, very anxious, and saying that he met a new girlfriend at the mall today and that she doesn't like cameras, but he's gonna show her to you anyways. And then he goes and opens his bathroom door and reveals a young girl chained to the bathroom floor, screaming out, asking why he's doing this. And it is just so disturbing. A lot of people thought that the girl in the video was Kayla Berg, including her own mother. And honestly, when I watched the video, I watched it several times, and it does look like Kayla. The police obviously took this tip very, very seriously, especially considering her own mother believed that it was her in it, but unfortunately it led to nothing. The 2 actors in the video didn't even know about the Kayla Berg case. They weren't even aware of it, and they both said that it was just consensual and they were just putting out scare videos on YouTube. And honestly, even without it being related to this case at all, it's just a really disturbing video to watch. If you do want to go and watch it though, it comes up when you YouTube Kayla Berg. It's all over the place, the Walter and Patrick video, so you can go and check it out for yourselves if you're interested. But even though that tip wasn't any use to the case, it actually helped to recirculate it once again because everybody was talking about it, everybody was analyzing the video, and so it really did help bring more publicity to Kayla's case, which in these cases is so important. Alright, so let's move on to some of the theories in this case. So the first theory, which I'm not really sure if I believe, I don't think that it has enough information to it, but I did read about it on a couple of forums. There were rumors that Kayla was potentially pregnant with Miguel, so her boyfriend's baby, and I should mention this also at this time. Miguel was actually 4 years older than Kayla, so he was 19 at the time that she was 15, which 4 years isn't a huge age gap once you're of age, but when you are very much still a minor and you're dating someone 19, 4 years is a lot at that age. And I should also say her parents did not approve of this relationship. This was not something that they were supportive of. So some people think that Miguel maybe had something to do with it. Maybe he didn't want her to have the baby or something like that. However, Miguel's car and the house were both searched and they didn't find anything, but I do want to add in that he refused to take a lie detector test, which I do think is suspicious. I'm not saying that Miguel didn't have anything to do with it. I think that maybe he knows something, probably more than he's saying he does, but I don't really believe the whole she was pregnant theory. The next theory is just the stranger or third person theory, which basically just means that somebody found Kayla after Kevin dropped her off at Miguel's house and was able to get involved, and whether they abducted her or unfortunately maybe they killed her then. I have no idea, and unfortunately it is a possibility, but they did bring in several cadaver dogs to search around the property and everything like that, and they didn't find any scent of Kayla. So I do think that we can rule out that, definitely that situation anyways, of her getting out of the car and a third person coming, because they couldn't pick up any scent of hers. So I think that that is promising that maybe she wasn't even there at all. Another theory is the Walter Patrick theory, which is because of that YouTube video that I previously mentioned. Like I said, if you guys are interested in watching it, I can link it down below, or just YouTube Kayla Berg, because I don't know if the original is still up or not, but there's tons of people that have the footage of it, and it's also on the Crime Watch special if you're interested. But basically the theory is that the girl in the video really was Kayla, but I just don't think that this is true. I was reading through the comments on the YouTube videos of a lot of the ones that are analyzing the Walter Patrick theory, and I just don't think that it's true. The police did investigate it, and a lot of the comments are really just blind in the sense that they don't really know anything about this case, and they just see it for what it is and just automatically think that it's real, which if it was a scary tactic video, which is what they assume that it is, I just think that that's what they were trying to do. So I just don't really think that this theory is true. The police investigated it, and both of the actors said that it was consensual, so I just don't really think that this is the case. Okay, and then the last theory is that Kevin, who is the friend that drove Kayla from the dad's house to the McDonald's to apparently Miguel's house, had something to do with it, and this is the theory that I am definitely most behind. I just think that there are a lot of questionable aspects in this case regarding Kevin, so let's get into them. So first of all, like I said, the fact that he allegedly dropped off Kayla at 10 p.m. at Miguel's house and then drove the 45 minutes to his parents' house but didn't get there until midnight just seems very, very suspicious to me. Why did it take him an extra hour and 15 minutes-ish? I want to give or take, obviously, like traffic and stuff, you know, but still, we'll say even just an hour. That is still an hour unaccounted for, and I just think it's very bizarre. Also, the fact that nobody can really confirm that she was even dropped off at Miguel's house. Nobody else saw her getting out of the car except for Kevin. The fact that cadaver dogs couldn't pick up her scent around the house makes me wonder if she was even ever there at all, which then broadens the time gap from 8:30 when they were last seen at McDonald's, when she told her friend she was going to go and drive around with Kevin for a little bit longer, and the time that he got home at his parents' house at midnight. I just feel like something is not right there. And again, with Miguel's house being condemned, I find it very strange that this spot that was known as a party spot amongst their group, Kevin and Kayla both included in that friend group, why would they not know that nobody had been living there? It was under construction. It seems very bizarre to me that Kayla would request to be dropped off there. And then on top of all of this, we have to bring up the fact that Kevin refused to take a lie detector test, and he refused it for a long time. In the true crime video that I watched, there's actually an interview with Kayla's mom, Hope, and she was saying that, first of all, it would be, oh, he took a Xanax, so he can't do the test, or like, he was always coming up with excuses that he wasn't able to do the lie detector test, and then eventually he just said, no, not doing it, and they couldn't get him to come in at all. And then he took the lie detector test later on, but at a private firm, which of course we don't know what the questions were asked there, but I do want to bring up the fact that Hope, Kayla's mom, is very just suspicious of this. She thinks anyone can pass a lie detector test if you are asked the right questions, which I totally agree with. If he was going to suddenly take the lie detector test, why would he need to go through this private firm? Why could he not just go through the people who had been asking him to take the test? I just think that it's all very suspicious. Kevin then hired a lawyer, and no one could really talk to him after that because of this. I also want to say that Kevin was actually charged for reckless endangerment in regards to this case, basically meaning that he put a minor in danger, and it was just like, they apparently, some sources said that they smoked weed before, like I guess he was kind of a hookup for the group, but I can't confirm that. But basically he dropped her off at this construction site at 10 p.m. at night. It was dark out, and just left. So he got charged for it, but unfortunately 2 years later it was dropped because there just wasn't enough evidence, according to the prosecutor. All in all though, I don't want to say that Kevin killed Kayla or that maybe he's hiding her somewhere. Because you never know, and maybe it was just a wrong place, wrong time kind of situation. So I really think that he knows something that he's not sharing. He was the last person confirmed to have seen Kayla, and I don't know, it's just something really just rubs me the wrong way with all of the information that I know about Kevin in this case. The bottom line though is that this family has suffered so much. If you guys watch the videos of Hope doing her interviews, she's just so heartbroken and just so torn apart because she just needs to find her daughter. And it's actually so sad. As I mentioned earlier in the video, her father was actually sick and he passed away. And can you imagine passing away without even knowing what happened to your own daughter? That is just so wrong. If you know anything at all about this case, I will link everything below, who you need to speak with, but please, please tell someone, even if you think that it is just a minuscule piece that doesn't really mean anything. It could really make just like the world of difference to this case. And that's the bottom line. Like I said before, somebody somewhere knows something and they need to confess, because this family has been through far too much. Anyways, you guys, that is the end of this mystery video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so I know to keep on doing them. If you have any cases that you would like me to cover, any requests or anything like that, just comment them down below. I'm totally open to learning more about different cases. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and stay safe. Bye.